but I'll just give you an abbreviated version here for those who obviously didn't hear that. Number one, the passing of President Bush, 41. Been fortunate enough to interview a couple of presidents. I actually met him briefly. I talked to him on the phone 3 or 4 times because Jim Nance is a close friend, very close friend, and really kind of part of the Bush family, has been for many years. And I, on the Mike Memories things I do on the app, I talked about how I got rained out of the golf game I was supposed to play with Jim and President Bush about, I guess he was still in his early 80s, so it must have been about 10, 12 years ago, maybe 12, 14 years ago now because it goes fast, in the summer. And you have to be vetted to go through it. They have, they call. You have to have, even to play with an ex-president, play golf with him, you have to be, you have to go through. So they give them social security number, give them information they want. They call you. They ask some questions. It's kind of funny. And I was scheduled to play with the president. He was no longer the president. And Jim and a friend of President Bush's, but it got rained out. We were going to play Baltusrol. I think Baltusrol. I'm pretty sure. We were going to play New Jersey, but I think it was Baltusrol. It's a long time ago. I've interviewed Clinton and 41 and 43. Never interviewed Obama. I interviewed Clinton I've interviewed all three of them with Dog, and I interviewed one of them by myself, but I've interviewed all three of them with Dog, all three presidents. And like I said, Bush, I talked to on the phone a couple of times because he got on the phone on our anniversary and said, because Jim was in Kenny Bunkport and got on the phone with myself and my wife, happy anniversary, which was very nice. He's a nice man, very nice man. Great American, actually a very underrated president, one of the great one-term presidents, and a wonderful guy. War hero, the whole thing, great American life, so God bless him. And he had a great, long, wonderful life. Another thing was the Hunt thing. I'm not going to get into a lot of it. We went through. The bottom line is, if you think the NFL doesn't have access to something, we've been through this before. Give me a break. Here's what happens. They think they get all the copies. They don't. A copy appears, and then they got to go through this whole rigmarole. We all know it. You think they learn their lesson? They don't. But, hey, he deserves to be suspended. That's the bottom line. To the Giant game. A lot of wild plays. They played a lot better the second half. Beckham made some really good plays. He made a couple of bad plays. He was responsible for the pick. Hey, when your man intercepts the ball, that's wrong. You're responsible for your man. He either broke the route off or quit on the route, whatever you want to call it, and you cannot let your guy who's covering you intercept the ball. That's all there is to it. Someone else intercepts it, that's fine. Not your guy. Break it up. And then the onside kick, my thought is, listen, I'm not going to question his toughness like some people are doing. Don't go out there. If you don't want to be on the hands team, don't go out there. If you're on the second line, you got to go for the ball. It can't be, well, my guy didn't block someone, so I was exposed. No. You're not even supposed to be looking. You're supposed to be looking at the ball, and that front line's blocking down, and you're going for the ball. That's how it works. And he didn't go for the ball. So don't go out there. I have no problem with them not going out there. Just don't go out there. But if you go out there, you got to go out there and play it right. He should have been out there. He should have been out there. He didn't even go after that ball. That could have cost him the game. And, the way they changed the rules now, it's almost impossible to get an onside kick. 4 out of 40-something now because they've changed the way they've changed the rules on it. They've made it much more limited, so it's very difficult to get an onside kick now. Ray and Nutley starts us off. What's up, Ray?
Hey, Mike. Long time listener.
Yeah, what's happening?
Just an amazing game yesterday. I'm a lifelong Giants fan, and they never make it easy on us.
No,
right.
They didn't. But you know what? At least they gave you a little excitement. It would have been so much more fun if they had won the Eagle game because you'd
been listening to you for a long time. I'd like to speak about the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say I'm on the fence with Odell. I think that he is a gift. But he, in the past he's shown his ways of being immature. But now I think he's getting on the board, and I think he's trying his heart out. I know he didn't give up on that onside kick, but I do feel that he was timid on it because of injury.
He didn't give up on the onside kick? He never made a play on it.
No, he didn't make a play on it. I'm saying he did give up on that onside kick.
He did.
But,
you have to go after the ball. That's your job. That is your job. And
right.
I understand the guy in front of him didn't block properly. I understand that, but that's not what you're supposed to be looking at. You're supposed to be looking at the ball. You're on the second line. Your job is to go after the ball. The guy on the front line is supposed to block down. You're supposed to go after the ball. That's your job. Ivan, Staten Island, what's up, Ivan?
Hey, Mike, what's happening?
What's up?
Hey, ridiculous that they lost that game yesterday, and you talk about
that was a terrible loss on a lot of levels, but you know what? They never had any offense all day anyway. They had a decent running game, but they never could score, and they couldn't score when they got down there, and I don't know why McCown's playing.
Neither do I. We spoke yesterday on the app. I just don't get it. Sam should have played yesterday. I'm assuming he's going to start the Buffalo game. But, you said it all summer, and I agreed with you. This was all about getting him ready for next year. But now, these next 4 games, okay, in Buffalo, good defense up there. Then you got the Texans. Okay, who knows what's going to be with the Packers. And then you got up in Foxborough. And the kid's coming off a couple of bad games, and he missed some time. And the offense is broken right now. How will you expect to make progress or any positive signs going forward with him when you're calling out the coordinator, you're calling out the coach, you got players pointing fingers at each other right now. I don't see where they're going to get anything positive.
You got players killing the coaches. You got players killing the game plan. It's a mess. It's a mess. And I blame McCagnon for this because the one thing I will never defend is when you don't show direction. You have to have a plan. And I thought they had a plan this year. And now they're backing off their plan because they're timid. And they're afraid. They're afraid. They want to make don't worry about whether he looks better than Mayfield. I told you, don't get hung up on that stuff as to whether I'm telling you that this is, Mayfield's doing this. Don't worry about that. That doesn't matter. In 3 years, they could be in completely different places. Just let Sam handle what he can handle, and he can handle the job. Mentally, he can handle the job. Physically, he can handle the job. Is he going to make mistakes? Yes. He's going to make good throws. He's going to make bad throws. We understand that. But what are you getting out of playing a backup quarterback? Kenny in Staten Island. What's up, Kenny?
Mike, I agree with you 100%. This year was all about the quarterback. And the excuse that the coach gave yesterday, that Bowles gave, was that he didn't have enough reps in practice.
That's ridiculous.
Are you kidding me?
That's ridiculous.
What kind of comment is that? This ain't the first preseason game.
No,
we're in December now.
Not only that, he'd been in practice every day.
Yeah. He knows the playbook.
And he was walking fine. He was walking.
I don't think there was anything wrong with him in the New England game.
I don't know if there was or there wasn't, and I'm not going to get into whether there was or there wasn't. But the bottom line is, we know there's not now, and he should be playing. And what they're doing now is they're managing it, trying to manage him into good games. Don't worry about that. Just play him. You're not going to break this kid. Sal in Sayville, what's up, Sal?
Hey, Mike. Good afternoon. Packer fan comment and a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess historically, not a franchise that kind of makes moves like we did yesterday. So kind of like unprecedented time here. And you made a good point. I guess with the last 24 hours being a little bit of a whirlwind. Maybe sitting Aaron Rodgers is a pretty good idea.
I don't see what you're getting out of play. First of all, he's been playing hurt all year. Secondly, he's not playing like Aaron Rodgers. Why would you play him the last 4 games? I wouldn't.
I agree, Mike. And listen, obviously there's a little bit of a recency bias as far as McCarthy. And over the years, I've talked to you numerous times. I mean, for 8-9 years there was one staple in the NFL. The New England Patriots and the Green Bay Packers would make the playoffs every single year. We talked about some of the brutal playoff losses he suffered through. But ultimately, I mean, a lot of wins in those years.
Everybody suffers bad playoff losses, though. Everybody does.
Very true, Mike. Now, I'm putting you as President Mark Murphy going forward. I'm hearing a lot of names. I know Aikman mentioned DeFilippo yesterday. You're hearing Lincoln Riley, Bruce Arians.
I don't see them hiring somebody off the Viking staff. There's no way.
You mentioned Bruce Arians as a great thing.
No, I don't see. No, you see, here's the one thing. Remember about the Packers. Packers want to hire a coach for 10 years. The Packers are like the Steelers. They don't want to hire a coach again. They want to hire a coach for 10 years. They expect stability in their organization. When they hire a coach, now they all don't stay that long, but their idea is they won't hire an older coach. They will hire a coach that they think can be there for 10 years. That's what they'll do. They'll bring in somebody that they think will be there. Now, remember, they're in a little bit of a tricky spot, and they have to deal with this. They have an iconic quarterback who's getting old. How much does he have to say about the quarterback, about the head coach? That's really the first thing that has to be decided. It's the elephant in the room. There's no way around it. He's there. Right now, he's going to be there for a couple more years. He's the guy who decides whether you win or lose. You have to have a partnership with him. Otherwise, you can't win there. So what is his thought process on this? That's really, and are you going to tell him he's an innocent bystander? He might tell you, you know what, I'll finish my career somewhere else. I mean, you don't know exactly what he wants here. And I don't know that he's the easiest guy to get along with, but remember, diva quarterbacks who are franchise legendary quarterbacks, are like the king of the jungle. They get their way. They're the boss. They're in charge. So they're going to have a lot of say. So we know that. So that plays into this, when he's got years left. You're not rebuilding. You have to have an eye towards the future, but you still have a couple of years left, and he's thinking about winning another Super Bowl. Otherwise, why would he be there? Now, you could do something inventive. I don't think they would do it. You could do something very inventive. That would be, heresy. You wait a year or this year if someone would be crazy enough, or if you would do it. I mean, if Tua was in the draft, you might do it to take Tua. But you trade Rodgers for the number one pick. Would a team do that? Will you trade him for a packet full of picks and start over? Usually doesn't happen. It's not the craziest thing you ever heard. It could happen. He's got years left, but he doesn't have 10. He's got a couple of years left. I don't see him playing until he's 40. How old is he now? 34? 30? Is he 34, Tyler? 35, 34? I would say 34 if I had to guess. I'm going to guess 34. So maybe he's got 3 or 4 good years left. I don't know what's on his mind. Is there a team that you could and start over and get a bundle for him? I mean, bundle. I doubt that would happen. I really do. I think they would rather, go down with him for the last, X number of years. It's almost heresy to say, I understand that. But you would take a king's ransom, obviously, to get him. But, I mean, it's just another way to attack the future. So how old is he? 35? 35, so you could see 3 more years. 3 more years on top. Not every guy's going to go to 40 years old like Brady and Breeze have. Not every guy's going to do that. So 3 more years, maybe. 4 on the outside. We all know that he's not gotten along well, but you know what? These guys ran their course. That's what happens. They ran their course. They got sick of each other. It happens. It does happen. It happens plenty of times. So, I mean, they ran their course. And he wasn't winning. And let's be honest. He's not been he's not having an Aaron Rodgers year. This is not a Rodgers-like season by any stretch of the imagination. For them to lose to Arizona is almost hard to, really hard to fathom. But that's, that when it sinks, sometimes it sinks a long way. And that's about as bad as it gets. Them losing to a team that lost 45-10 the week before the Chargers. 45-10. And they go out there and they get 17 points. They usually get that in a quarter. So, hey, it happens. You look at it and say, where do we go from here? Do we take our superstar quarterback and go forward? Do we, is it about him? Is it not about him? Is it about the future? A lot of different ways to look at it. But let's be honest. He's played hurt, which we all know. We're all going to take that into account that he's played hurt this year. We all know he has. He hasn't put up, Rodgers-like numbers this season. Let's look at this year versus, say, the last couple, just for argument's sake. Last year we can't count. Year before that, 40 touchdowns, 7 picks. 38 touchdowns, 5 picks. 39 touchdowns, 8 picks. 45 touchdowns, 6 picks. This year, 21 touchdowns. How many picks yesterday? 1. So he's got 2. And he's only got like 2 interceptions. He doesn't throw any interceptions. You know that. He's only got 1 interception. He doesn't throw interceptions. We know that. He throws the ball away. 1 pick for the season. 21 touchdowns. It's a nice number, but it's not the same. He's not putting up points. What you want in your quarterback is for him to drive your team to win games. And you're not getting that this year. They're 0-6 on the road. Now they're 4-7-1. They've won 4 games with Aaron Rodgers. They've won 4 out of 12 games with Aaron Rodgers. That's hard to fathom. Back after this.